Some may know him as Herman Mudgett, others by Henry Howard, and some may even know him as Dr. Death. A criminal with a background in in the medical field that can only be described in one word. He was a madman. This criminal went on a murder spree and built a house that later became a hotel for killing his victims. This man goes by one name, H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes had a fascinating life story of fraud and murder. In his early life, according to biography.com, Holmes was very intelligent at a young age. He had also expressed an interest in the medical field, which had led him to practicing surgery on animals. There were multiple witnesses that said he was responsible for the death of his friend. After he graduated high school, he had become a medical student at the University of Michigan. There were several accounts that he had stolen multiple corpses from the university to make false insurance claims and possibly experiment on them. Moving into the time of his murder spree, Holmes had moved to Chicago, Illinois in 1885 and started working at a pharmacy. He had built a murder house that would be opened to the public as a hotel just in time for the World's Fair in 1893. This murder house would later be dubbed the Murder Castle. The Murder Castle was a 3-story murder chamber. The second and third floors consisted of Holmes's living quarters and many small rooms where guests were tortured and killed. The basement had a kiln that was used to burn the bodies of the victims or dispose of them in another way. The upper floors had trap doors and chutes that enabled Holmes or his colleague Benjamin Peitzel to get the bodies from the upper floors to the basement without being seen. According to mysteriousuniverse.org, the second floor was sealed off to the world. There were rooms with hidden gas lines for suffocation, rooms with steel plate walls with blowtorches on the backside to broil who was ever in there, and even an airtight, soundproof room next to Holmes's personal office, where he would leave guests to expire and rot. He had used his victims to collect life insurance payments. After the World's Fair, Holmes had made a plan with Benjamin Peitzel to fake his own death and collect $10,000 from his insurance company. Holmes ended up killing Peitzel because he wanted all of the money for himself. After Peitzel's death, Holmes had gone to prison for another fraud. His time spent in prison was used confiding in his fellow inmate about his and Peitzel's scheme. Holmes was eventually freed, but the killings had continued. Holmes was apprehended in November 1894 for the murder of Benjamin Peitzel because his fellow inmate had told the authorities about him. While in jail, he had sold his story for a total of $7,500, which today would be about $212,610. In 1896, Holmes was hanged for the murder of Benjamin Peitzel. Before he was executed, according to the Chicago Tribune, Holmes had requested he had 2 spots right next to each other in the cemetery. He had then requested to be placed in a pinewood coffin that was filled with cement and then placed 10 feet underground instead of the normal 6 feet, and then covered the coffin with cement. Before the murder castle had been burned down by arsonists. It had been searched. Piles of soiled and bloody clothing, large balls of carefully wound blonde hair, and unidentified bones of children were recovered from it. H. Holmes was a complete madman who had the inability to trust anyone, even his own friends. Holmes might have started out as an intelligent child, but as he grew older, that intelligence grew into something more, something that would have the ability to kill many victims. He built the murder castle to have a way to murder people without anyone wondering what was going on. It was Peitzel's murder that eventually led to Holmes's execution in 1896. In the end, he was buried exactly how he wanted, and his murder spree came to a screeching halt. There are many things we know about Holmes right now, but we have the ability to find out more in the future.